What's up, all you Dungeons and Dragons lovers out there? Who's ready for some goblin slaying? That's right, folks. Goblin Slayer, Goblin's Crown has finally premiered on Crunchyroll for us folks in the West. Now, if you remember back in February of 2020, this movie premiered in Japan, and it was supposed to come out to the West in movie theaters. And then the virus happened and shut everything down, and folks like me and you had to wait until it streamed on Crunchyroll. Luckily, it has now done that, and I have enjoyed it. Now, Goblin Slayer, Goblin's Crown is an hour-and-a-half movie that's basically based off of the 5th light novel of the Goblin Slayer series. And this was a very enjoyable hour and a half of watching Goblin Slayer do what he does best. Now, before I go any further, if you have not watched this and you are a fan of Goblin Slayer, I would like you to stop right now and I would like you to go enjoy the hour and a half of Goblin slaying. Don't worry, I will be here when you get back. For those of you who have seen this and don't mind the little spoilers, let us continue. The first 30 minutes of this hour and a half movie, unfortunately, is a recap of the first season of Goblin Slayer told to you by our lovely cinnamon roll, the Priestess. And I'm sorry, if you don't think she's a lovely cinnamon roll, you need some help. The whole first 30 minutes, like I said, is told by her about when she first started out, when she meets Goblin Slayer, how she realizes that she needs to go with him because he's kind of stupid at times and doesn't really think about himself or others, and how she feels that she needs to be with him to protect him and all that. And it goes up from episode 1 where she's getting attacked and her original team gets killed, all the way up to where it was that special episode where it's Goblin Slayer, his team, and where he begs everyone to help protect the farm and the town. And it's just her telling, how it got up there. But after the first half an hour, that's where this new story takes place. It first starts off with a voiceover from the, what is her, a Blade Saint or Sword Maiden. Sword Maiden, that's her name. Please forgive me, I sometimes forget. The Sword Maiden has written a letter to Goblin Slayer saying, hey, I've had a request from a noble family that their daughter has basically ran away from home, became an adventurer, and she took this job to kill goblins and has not returned. Could you go save her? And Goblin Slayer, being Goblin Slayer, says, goblins, to the field! Now the setting takes a little bit of a turn because from all the Goblin Slayer that you've watched, it has been, your normal fantasy setting, wide fields, grass, sun, maybe some rain. No, but this time, the setting is in the mountains where it's snow, which kind of is interesting because you see some of the characters take on a little different look. The elf has actually got proper leggings and arms on. The priestess has got, leggings and stuff to protect her. The funny part is the lizard priest, because he's a lizard, is constantly trying to keep moving because he's afraid he's going to hibernate. And you can see him, he's getting really cold, which is just hilarious. But Goblin Slayer is up there doing goblin slaying things. The thing I love about this story, because I don't want to give away too much of it, is some of the things that you see happen in this. First of all, the goblins are learning faster and faster. It's something that Goblin Slayer has always said, that they will learn from things. He does the whole arrow trick where you loosen it and you to where the head will go into someone's arm. When you pull out the thing, the head stays in. They, in under a day, learn that trick and use it against the elf archer. When they find the noble fencer, which is the name of the character they find, she's at a shrine. They've branded her. They didn't kill her. They were collecting human supplies. And Goblin Slayer's like, why? And so they decide that they're going to figure out what's going on because the noble fencer is not going to return home until she gets her sword back. And the creature that has taken the sword is known as a goblin paladin. Think Goblin Slayer, but in goblin form. So they decide that they're going to sneak in under the disguise of being dark worshippers because that's what looks like is happening. And so they do a funny trick. The ladies, of course, become captured offerings, and the men, well, in simplest term, go to their computer settings and switch on incognito mode. Hold on a second. They all put on paint, and I'm sorry, something about Goblin Slayer in black and red armor is a little more intimidating to me than his normal version. They sneak into the castle. They see that the goblins are actually kind of organized, and the goblin paladin / hero is in charge and making ranks. And it's just a battle at the end. I loved it. There were some details that they removed from the light novel, which really didn't affect the story, but I think it would have been better if they had it in. Like, there was this whole point where when they snuck in and the noble fencer kills the shaman out of rage. I mean, she literally beats his head into the ground. There's this scene afterwards in the light novel where one of the goblins is coming to investigate the noise, and so the dwarf shaman convinces the elf to scream like she's being accosted and attacked and all that. It really didn't do much for the story, but I think it was something that they should have added, but they didn't. But like I said, that's okay. And the story goes on to where Goblin Slayer, he's doing what he does best. He needs to kill these goblins and everything. And one of the last scenes in this is, I think, is the ultimate kill count for Goblin Slayer. He causes an avalanche while goblins are chasing him and his team. This was definitely a very fun hour and a half. This could have been broken down into 2 episodes. They could have just stuck this anywhere, but I kind of like that they did this in a movie form. Would I have paid to see it in a movie theater? Yes. Why? Because I am a jumbo Goblin Slayer fan. But for the average viewer, I think this would have been okay as it is streaming or an OVA. Now, as I said, I love Goblin Slayer. I love this movie. I love this series. And now that we've reached this movie, I can't wait to see if they're going to do another season. I really hope they do, because I've got all the books up to this. I mean, if you look right here, 1 through 5. That right there is season 1 and the movie. I've just recently got chapter 6 or book 6 of the light novels, so I'm completely in the dark. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hoping that this got enough hype and enough views that the companies will now decide to make a second season. Well, folks, I thank you for joining me as I blabbled on about Goblin Slayer. I tried to keep as many details out of it as I could, because I think if you are a fan of Goblin Slayer, you should watch this. And even if you're not a fan of Goblin Slayer, or maybe you haven't watched it because you didn't want to watch the series, I think you should go ahead and watch this. The first half an hour will get you a basic quick recap, like I said, for those who haven't seen it. And you could definitely see how Goblin Slayer deals with the goblin infestation that he's always trying to fight. And hey, if you enjoy this movie and you've never watched the series, go back and watch the whole series. I guarantee you like it. Folks, I'm the noob. I am a Goblin Slayer fan, and I have enjoyed this, and I hope you enjoy it too, and I'm hoping that they make more. Until then, thank you for joining me, and I will catch y'all later. See ya!